Over the short time that I've decided to share some of my ventures in Liberia via YouTube, I have come across the following Liberians. 1. Liberians who are very curious about their country. 2. Those with even misplaced priorities. 3. Those who seem very lost. 4. Misinformed. And 5. Those who are just very curious and recognize problems leading to them finding solutions. Interestingly, however, while some have gone to Liberia, observe areas of opportunities and or areas for improvement, there are still people who believe that everything falls on the government as far as responsibilities. In order to stop hearing myself, because I talk about this on my channel all the time, I've decided to invite others on this channel to share their experience about their visits to Liberia. These are people who are actually walking the walk instead of complaining about the inadequacies that they see in Liberia. The individuals you see in this video are heavily involved in the following sectors: agriculture, real estates, production, auto detailing, and consultancy. These individuals are not only detailing their visits, they have employed Liberians and continue to empower people who can inspire the next generation to come. As you navigate this video, think about a time you visited Liberia and your own contribution or lack of contribution. Perhaps think about what it is holding you back from capitalizing on opportunities that are readily at your disposal. Hi everyone, this is your favorite Hachikun sister Zawadi, and I know I've been gone, but I am here today to hear from other people's perspective about our country based on their previous visit and some of these people's involvement in the country. Let's go.
Hi everyone, I'm Maji and I was invited on here to speak on a few things. I left Liberia 8 years ago for the USA, and before I even traveled or I had a knowledge of traveling, I always knew that regardless of where, no matter where I found myself, I will always go back home. I will always have things going for me in Liberia. I officially took my first trip back home 2019. And for me, Liberia is always fun. So, but one thing that really stood out to me was how expensive food was. The prices of food were so high. And it was in that moment I told myself that I needed to do something or I had to be part of the solution to that problem. So I sat my family down and told them I'm ready to start a farm. I wanted to start a farm. And I've always wanted to start a farm. But for me, I didn't think I was going to go into farming as early as I did. I grew up around farming. I saw how farming helped my family. So I always knew I was going to go into farming later in my life. But I didn't think I was going to do it as early as I did. So fast forward to 2020, I officially started my farm, January of 2020. We started off with palm and pepper. We started off with palm in 2020. We just planted palm, and as time went by, we added pepper and planting cassava. And this year we are about to add, chicken stuff to it. And like I stated, I've been going back to Liberia since 2019. And one thing I must say that I'm really impressed by is how much the young Liberians or how much Liberians are doing. Businesses that I see, I'm friends with few people, three, four people who are doing things in Liberia, and I must say I'm really impressed by that. Things are doing good, and for me, those are things that motivate me when I feel like at times things get high, especially when it comes to farming. It is difficult at times, it is challenging. But when I see things that other young people are doing, that encourages me to stay put, that encourages me to stay firm and keep moving. And knowing the fact that I'm able to put people to work, that at least that alone makes it worth it. That alone, makes me feel fulfilled. I get asked this a lot, and people ask me, you know, Will you advise me to go back home? I want to go back to do something. I want to have things going for me in Liberia, but I'm afraid I'm this, I'm that. And I always say, stop holding yourself back. My advice to everyone is stop holding yourself back. You go back home. See what you can do. No contribution is too little. Go back home, visit Liberia for the first time, and see what you have to offer. At the end of the day, I believe we are Liberia. Liberia is us, and only us can take our country where we want it to be and how we want it to be. Liberia is a beautiful place, and I hope we all keep working together to make it a better place. I hope that makes sense.
How's it going, guys? My name is Stefan, and I've been living in the United States for the majority of my life. I was born right when the Civil War in Liberia was starting, and I had to leave the country, like many of you probably watching this video, for safety reasons. And I moved around to a few different countries in West Africa before finally coming to America under the resettlement program with my family in 1997. And growing up in America, I never really had thoughts of going back to Liberia. I just figured, America was my new country. But as I started to get older in my adult life, I realized that this was not the country I was born. I kind of have that hunger to want to see where I was from and want to see Liberia. So I started to do a lot of research online and follow some YouTubers and watch a lot of videos. And I saw that the country was not in good shape, and I also saw that there was not a lot of content as far as positivity towards the country. So when I finally got my passport last year in 2021, I decided to take the leap of faith and go back home to Liberia to visit. When I hit the ground, it was like that bitter sweet feeling. The sweet part was finally coming back to the country where I was born, the country where my ancestors were from, the country where my mother met my father, and pretty much where it all started for me. And getting to hear Liberians just speaking that raw colloquial, country with delicious food, friendly people, beautiful coastlines, palm trees. You could just feel the breeze from the ocean. And a lot of countries that have this characteristics, like the Bahamas and a lot of those islands that we love to vacation in, these countries are tourist hotspots. So why is Liberia not like that? Liberia is such a beautiful country, and it makes me wonder how a country like this could be considered poor or third world country when these kind of views anywhere else in the world would be considered $1 million views. Like, people go to the Bahamas and all those islands to get very similar views like what we have in Liberia. Now, there was a bitter feeling that also came with it because I saw how rough the country was as far as infrastructure and development. I noticed that a lot of Liberians in the countries had that separation from the diaspora. Like, they would often make a lot of comments like, go back to where you're from. It's like they treat you as if you left the country and somehow abandoned them. And I don't know if that's the reason why a lot of Liberians are not coming back home, is because of that separation, or because they're so used to their new lives and new environments. There are things that, can't be overlooked, like, for one, the pollution. People are throwing trash everywhere in the sewage lines, the gutters. And in a country like America, or any modern country, modern society, people look down on trash in their environment. In America, if you throw trash on the streets, people look at you like you're crazy. If a police officer was to see you, you could even get a hefty fine. So it's not something that we do over here. So going back and seeing all the pollution, all the trash, it was really heartbreaking. But seeing so many people partake in trash in their own environment, I couldn't help but notice that there was something off with the mindset of Liberians that live in the country. It seemed like everybody was so focused on just surviving that they didn't even consider trying to take care of their own environment, even if it's only for sanitation reasons. And of course, if you spend some time in Liberia, you'll start to accumulate a whole list of issues in the country. And it made me realize that a lot of these issues that people always talk about, it really can't be solved by the people in the country, because their mindset is on survival mode. And a lot of them are not educated and they don't have the skills, they don't have the ability to think outside the box, to come up with solutions, because the majority of people in Liberia are just focused on surviving and making it day to day. But I realized that if change was to come, that Liberians in the diaspora would have to play a huge role. Emma and myself have been making strides already in this very short time that we've known each other, in a year. And if you guys have seen some of these other videos on her channel, you would see how much we've already accomplished in a short period of time. So I say that to say this: Liberia is a very healthy environment for business and entrepreneurs. If you are a business-minded person and you have a good, clear plan, there's so many opportunities in Liberia. I mean, the lack of competition is scary, to say the least. In America, you can have a gas station and another gas station right across the street. And you go right down the street, you'll see another gas station. There's so much competition. It's actually illegal to have a monopoly. But in Liberia, you might only see one or two companies providing a certain service. So lack of competition, I think, is really hurting this country. And a lot of people that are controlling these businesses are foreigners who are not invested in the country. They're simply withdrawing their money out the country and invest in other areas like their very own country. And as you start to stay in Liberia, you can quickly realize what the country actually needs and turn that into a business opportunity. So when I stayed there last year for my Airbnb, the place was decent, but there was a lot of things that they didn't have that I wish they did. Like, the water was running, but there was not enough water pressure to make the water come out of the shower head. There's places to rent, but the places are run down. Nothing is modern. So Liberia desperately needs modern designs, either for short-term or long-term rentals. Every time I rented a car in Liberia, there was issues with the car. Either no AC, the brakes were bad, and I even tried to take it to a couple of shops, and a lot of those mechanics really don't know what they're talking about. They just experiment and just change different things on your car. So there's some other demands. There's demand for good, reliable vehicles, and there's a demand for people who know how to fix cars, and also people willing to bring in the equipment to diagnose these cars. Obviously, another thing that's going to be very big in the future is farming. Liberia imports a lot of the things that can actually be grown in that country, and they import it from neighboring countries like Guinea. Farming provides food. Obviously, we're always going to need food, clean water. Even if you want to throw a party, venues, there's a lack of modern venues over there. So everywhere you look, you can see opportunities in Liberia. Your mindset just has to be one of an entrepreneur to actually realize that these are opportunities.
Some people, when you go to Liberia, they say, oh, I had this bad experience where somebody checked my phone, somebody came and stole this and that from me. I think it all depends on how you carry yourself. Because if you just go there for the show and exposing yourself here and there, you're going to find it very difficult. You're going to not have a good experience. It's like anywhere in the world, even the great United States, the great Britain. If you just walk about and hang all of the golds and the diamond, the wrist watch, and all of that on you, you are inviting criminals to come and take these things from you. So it's the same way. So if you go to Liberia, I just want you to look at it like I'm having a wonderful time here. Look at the positivity, look at the positivities around you, and try to explore, enjoy, and go places and see what is happening around you. Then you will get more insight into things that are happening, and then you will have good experiences in when you be in Liberia. So my experience in Liberia was wonderful. I made friends. I had the opportunities to go lots of different places, and it was just a peaceful one, and it was wonderful. That's all I can say.
Hello, everyone. I'm Calvin, and then I want to share my experience with you. I'm on a trip to Liberia. So I live in Finland and I went to Liberia December 2021. So it was an amazing trip. Nothing much surprised me in Liberia because it's almost like the same as Ghana where I live mostly. And then I've just left Africa, so nothing much surprised me there. So nothing much was a surprise to me in Liberia. But my experience in Liberia was that it was very easy to get things started. It was very easy to get things started, and I already had project running in Liberia before I could get there. And then when I went, I started a building project, and I didn't need to get a permit. Probably I needed to, but there wasn't any authority chasing me like how it's done in like Ghana or Nigeria or somewhere. So I erected my building, and it's already finished. So that was one of the easiest part. I saw about Liberia that you can easily get things started, and yeah, and I also opened a corporate account, and it only took me a day to open that corporate account, and I didn't have the struggles to get so much documents, this, that. It only took me less than a day. For the thing of with Liberia is how this organized system is, especially on a personal level. You have an employee who wants you to call him 24 hours to show up to the job. So it was kind of like terrible for me. And then you have people who require money before they even start a job. It's not like an invoice, or it's not like the person it's not like the person is offering you a product, but the person is offering you a service and need the payment before the service. From my point of view, you offer the service and then you run an invoice, or probably we can talk on how the payment turns it, but you have to start the service before I give you money. Because I've heard of people just putting away with people money. So, what's to improve in Liberia? For me, I take it on the personal level. Liberians should improve themselves. They should have that positive attitude to work. They should go for it, and it's going to be good. To those who are hesitant to go Liberia, go to Liberia. It's very easy to go to Liberia. If you have a foreign passport, you can get a visa. It won't be that difficult. Then you can go about your busy stuff in Liberia. Liberia is not different from many other African countries. Although you have those transport hitches, but it's not that much different from any African country. Moreover, is not different from any urban African city. So,
Hello, I'm going to talk about my travels to Liberia, and to also give, from my point of view, some of the things that I feel that Liberia is really lacking as far as development-wise, and some of the things that we can improve on, and stuff like that. So some of the things that I feel like Liberia is really, really needing right now is the waste management system, as far as waste control. And that's, as far as the cleanliness of the country. I felt like everywhere you went, even if a particular location was clean, getting to that location, there was so many trash on the road. There was so many people just dumping stuff. There was no like order as far as keeping the country or even the city, which is the capital city, clean. And to me, the fact that we as Liberians are asking people to go back to Liberia, to develop Liberia, to invest in Liberia, to visit Liberia as far as tourism. To me, that's one of the things we really need to consider, because as the world changes, hygiene is one of the top things that people are very concerned about. Because the way I look at it, like we always say, if I go to your house and your house is dirty and you cook, oh no, I'm good, I'm full, I'm not gonna eat. Because if you're not clean, how you expect anything that you offer to be clean and sanitary? So I think for me, that was one of the biggest things that I saw. And because of that, I was so afraid to partake in a lot of stuff. And these are things that I've missed since I was a kid. I didn't eat any street food because I was afraid. How was it prepared? And stuff like that. So waste management in Liberia, the country is very dirty as far as trash everywhere. So I feel like that's one of the areas that we as a country can really benefit from. I'm not sure who is gonna take on that task, or maybe several people, or maybe the government can help, but I think there has to be some kind of enforcement, because you can tell people all day clean, clean, clean. If you're not enforcing some kind of law and order, it's not gonna happen. People are just gonna be like, well, if I throw trash there, what are they gonna do? So I think that's one of the big things for me. And then the second huge thing I ran across that really scared me was security. I remember one night we were driving, going out to dinner, and I guess the guys that they called the Sokos blocked the whole street, and they were telling people like, turn around, you can't pass on this road, because it's almost like they were striking or something like that. So to me, I've been out of Liberia for many years, and when I travel to any country, even in the US, there's certain areas in my own state I don't venture because I know it's not safe. So for me, security is a huge thing. You don't want people to, if I spend all this money to come visit Liberia, whether I'm Liberian or whether I'm an American or European or other African national coming to visit Liberia, and we don't feel safe, we're not going to come back. We're going to come enjoy it as much as we can and leave. So I think the government need to really put some order in place and some procedures in place as far as making sure that the city, especially the capital city, is safe. And people shouldn't be afraid after they've spent all this money to come and visit to enjoy the country. I don't think that's practical, because if those people go back, they're going to tell you, oh, you're going to go there, go at your own risk, and nobody wants to, like I said, spend money for a vacation or to come back to reconnect to a country that they're afraid to move around freely. However, with that being said, those were my two main things that I felt like we could really improve on. The electricity part, that's a huge thing. And I feel I kind of like hold our government responsible for that, because I feel for a country, yes, we've been through civil war, it's been over, get over it. But the fact with our country, the fact that in the capital city of Monrovia alone, we don't have electricity in everybody's home, and the fact that some people don't even have it, and if they have it, it can go out in a blink of an eye. That is so 1960. That is not a country that you say, okay, yeah, you guys had civil war, you've been through a lot, but you've had several governments now, and it's still not done. So that's something that the government has to work on. Because even you telling people to go back and open businesses to develop the country, why? So I can have to get 4 or 5 generator to run my business throughout the day. How is that benefiting me? That's just me wasting money and not being benefited. Yes, I want to come back, but I also want to know that if I bring my hard-earned money, I'm gonna make something in return. And spending money to run a business, as far as utility-wise, that is so not good, because nobody want to do that. But with that being said, going to Liberia is an eye opener, because you see a lot of opportunities. If you go to Liberia with an open mind, Liberia have a lot of opportunities that, as a business person, you can really take part in. Take for instance, we don't have good transportation system. Oh my God. There's a lot of cars. Yes, there's a lot of cars, a lot of traffic. But I feel like there's no order. Everybody just feel like they can go and buy a keke and be on the street. Everybody can go buy a bike and be on the street. But there's no system, there's no order. So with me as living in the US and going back, I want something that I'll be like, okay, it's a reputable transportation company I can use and stuff like that. And I think also, as far as traffic is ridiculous in Liberia. I'm from a state that you know exactly what time to be off the highway. If not, you're going to be in an hour, 2 hour traffic going wherever you're going. But Liberia's traffic is all day. And I'm like, okay, there is no order on the road. Like, there's 2-way streets, but the keke and the bike has made it a 4-way street, and they're moving, but everybody else is stuck. So I feel like those are some of the infrastructure that they can, like, things they can really be improved on. Transportation system is good for Liberia. Waste management, businesses. So for instance, why in the whole capital city you only got like 2 or 3 supermarkets? And then, are they owned by Liberians? Come on now. I'm like, why I gotta, if I want to go to the supermarket, there's this one down this street over here. That's the only one you got to go to. That is not right. So, that's an opportunity. Also coming up with a system in Liberia, as far as, I don't know, because of we don't have I know we have internet system as far as on their phones, but I like the fact when I'm in Ghana and I'm like, oh, what's going on tonight? I can go online and be like, oh, there's 5 restaurants from, within 10 miles of me or 5 miles of me, and I can choose which one I want to go to. There is no way for you to know that in Liberia. I mean, there's a few spots that is popping in Liberia that people talk about. So if you ask somebody who lives in Liberia, oh, where can I go for dinner? Oh, it's this spot and this spot and this spot, but that's it. But nothing else is told. So we lack really good restaurants in Liberia. We lack really good bars in Liberia. Just stuff that to do as a tourist when you're visiting. So I just think that some of the things that we can really improve on, and we as a business person, people can venture in. But other than that, I enjoy my visit. I was there with a goal, so I really enjoy it. But I said that was the night that we got stopped by the Zocos was the night that I was like, okay, I don't know, I'll visit again, but I don't know if this is something that is safe for people to do, because I'm a Liberian and I didn't feel safe. So I don't know if that's maybe somebody starting a really good, reputable security company that if you're a foreigner or you're a Liberian going back home, you feel like you got to hire somebody to escort you around. That person will ensure your safety. So that's also something that somebody can look into. But all in all, Liberia was great. It was good visiting again.
So I recently traveled to Liberia May 15th of 2022 to June 16th of 2022. And I would tell you one thing that surprised me about Liberia was the natural beauty. I'd seen it on YouTube videos, I've heard about it, but to experience it for myself was another story. And to eat the fruits, the vegetables of that fertile soil was a treat. I would tell you the sweetest pineapples I've ever had in my life was in Liberia, hands down. No contest. Like here in the States, don't compare at all. Even the organic fruits here don't compare. It's just something about the soil there is different. So that's one thing that surprised me. What would I like to see improve? I would say infrastructure. Roads, electricity is something that the country needs to improve drastically. I went during the rainy season, and during the rainy season, you can only drive so much, especially on days when it's just raining. Luckily, the rainy season had not hit. I think it was late for some reason, so we were blessed. But there were days it did rain, and if you were driving in a sedan, a SUV, a car, anything not a keke, motorbike, you're stuck in traffic, so you have to plan ahead and leave early in the morning and late at night, or you will be stuck in traffic. But a lot of roads are impassable, especially when it's raining. There's no drainage system, and it really made it hard to drive, especially when you have so much vehicles, and there's only so many roads going to downtown Monrovia or other places. And then the side roads are not big enough, so it's a hassle. So roads, just infrastructure in general, and just to, I would say build up the communities first, have everything available in the community. So your market, your good roads, your schools, your clinics, everything should be available in the community to loosen the congestion on the main roads, because everyone is going to the market, everyone is going to get some goods, buy some things, go shopping, visit fake friends and family. But if everything was available in their community, it would lessen the load. So infrastructure, number one. Any advice for people who are hesitant on coming to Liberia? I would ask, why are they hesitant? You gotta find out the root cause of why you don't want to come, or why you're nervous to come to Liberia, and connect with Liberians. Let's have a round table, in our communities, online, virtually, however, and just, it's kind of like therapy. You gotta get that stuff out, because so much emotion, so much trauma, people have experienced, through war and Ebola and the pandemic, and it's just been one after another. So, and then you have a lot of hearsay, and a lot of people have gotten so comfortable in their respective countries, and they just don't see any reason to come anymore. But we have to light that fire and that flame, and just be, the trailblazers, in our community, to get people to want to come to Liberia, want to invest, and want to, be the change, for our future generations. That way the mindsets of the people in Liberia will start to change, because that's one thing that, I see happening. The mindset has to change. When you hear this too is Liberia, no, we can't have that anymore. The mindset have to change, and then we have to have go-getters, people on the ground doing the work, not just talking about it, but actually doing the work.
So as we go and look beyond the issues, we are not to think about what our country can give us, but rather what we can contribute to our country. In addition to that, we need to foster development agenda through some of our skills, expertise, and also investment. For some of you who are very negative, it is very important to get to know your country on a more deeper level and how you can contribute as a citizen or a person who left your country a long time ago, or perhaps who was born within the diaspora. So at the end of the day, the saying goes, if the house doesn't sell you, the street obviously would not buy you. In this case, as you pin your country black, no one else will want to go to your country to invest. As you put the investment and time within your country, more and more people are going to be looking to see how they also can contribute to it. So Liberians, let us all mobilize, let us gather and let go of this saying that, oh, well, that place is not going to be fixed. Instead, go with a positive attitude and say, what can I contribute as a citizen? All right, thanks for watching this video. If you haven't taken anything away from this video, just understand that all contribution does matter, regardless of if it's on a small scale or it's on a large scale. Thank you so much for watching.